As promised, today we are going to be covering two episodes. That's episodes 3 and 4. I'm going to be giving my thoughts. This is the first time I'm recording one while another episode is out. As of the time I'm recording this, there's episodes 1 and 2 are actually both published, and I can see the comments there. I have a trusted source to let me know which comments are spoiler-free. There's only been one comment so far, so it's fine. But, actually these videos have been doing better than I expected them to, considering it's on the second channel. Less than 100 subscribers, but they've been doing okay, considering it's entirely different from any other video I've ever done. They're doing okay, especially considering it's just really a personal project for me. So the one comment that I want to talk about, let me just pull it up here, is from Evan, and he's saying, as someone who's watched Breaking Bad, the show is more of a roller coaster when it gets crazier as time progresses. The first season isn't insanely interesting, but some crazy things happen later on in the story for sure. So what this makes me think is that it just escalates. It just keeps escalating, and the situations just get crazier and crazier. Which, normally if that were the case, I would assume that that's just because the writers of a show are kind of coming up with things as they go along, and they don't really have a plan for what they're doing. Here I don't think that's the case, and so I think it's going to work much better. Can't say for sure because I haven't gotten there yet. But it I have a good feeling about it. So it's one thing for a show to kind of get crazier over time if the writers are just flying by the seat of their pants and they will actually have an idea of where the story is going. If they do, it can just make it a wild ride and one that's very much worth continuing with and sticking around for. He also says, you could always, because I mentioned in the first episode Attack on Titan several times, he says you could always review Attack on Titan by season or part of said season if you just wanted to talk about that at all. He's a massive fan of the manga and anime, so he'd definitely watch a video like that. I won't give away too much yet because I don't know when this is coming out. Right now the plan is maybe in time for season 4 part 3, so maybe not for a long time next year. But I am working on a video. I have the script right here in front of me for Attack on Titan, and right now the script is almost 40 pages long, and I'm not nearly done. So I have some. It's kind of just a side thing I'm doing for now. Whenever I'm super bored, I can work on it. So I don't know when it's going to actually be done. I'm still only writing it, but when it is done, it's going to be huge, and it is going to come out at some point, hopefully whenever. I'm going to try and strike while the iron's hot, and just once Season 4 Part 3 is beginning and there's hype around it, that's when I'm going to release the video. Hopefully it'll be done by then, and then it can, bring in some new viewers for this second channel, which I think we could really use. I don't think I mentioned this yet. For the first time here, I am actually, I wrote notes as I was watching, so I have, all series of notes here on the things I was thinking while I was watching. Haven't done that before, but we're doing that now. So let's actually get into the third and fourth episodes. So, this is funny. Okay, so I mainly know the lead actor for Breaking Bad, as Hal from Malcolm in the Middle. I knew him as that before I knew him as Walter White, and so I realize now, in the notes here, I accidentally once wrote his name as the entirely wrong character. Instead of calling him Walter, I call him Hal from Malcolm in the Middle, so I am mixing up my shows now, despite the fact that these are entirely different shows, and I think that is just a little bit funny. But what I have here is, when Hal is talking in the classroom, which I'm shocked kind of at the amount of scenes we've gotten of him in class explaining things to the students. Of course, it kind of shows, because every time he does that, you kind of see how differently he acts compared to the last time. In the first scene where he's in the classroom and he's doing his job, he seems kind of enthusiastic about it until the kids are jerks, and then his mental state kind of declines in each scene in the classroom since then, and so it's kind of a way of comparing how his mental state is in each scene in that area. Man, Marie and Hank, for all of episode 3 and part of episode 4, are just kind of my least favorite characters in this show. I don't know why. Hank is so obnoxious, and Marie is... I don't know how to describe her. She's kind of obnoxious in her own way, in a very different way, but in her own way. They were my least favorite characters for a while. They're starting to be less irritating to me as I kind of learn more about them, but I can't bring myself to like them. Also, I think I mentioned last time I didn't like Skylar very much, just because she was getting in the way of all the fun, wacky hijinks going on in the show. Now I kind of like her a lot more after I see really clearly how Walter's situation has been taking a toll on her, especially. It has been really hard on her because she has no idea what's going on with him, and when she does finally find out that he has cancer, it's even harder, and I'm really sympathizing with her now. Very different to how I felt in episode 2. I don't know if I've mentioned this already, but the performances in this show are incredible. There has not been a single moment where I have thought of a performance as kind of off or bad necessarily. Everything has been just fantastic so far, and that is quite commendable. In episode 3, when Walter kind of falls down the stairs and like is passed out, I will say that felt a bit sudden to me. I realize now what the point of that was. It was so that what's his name, Domingo? So that he could get the piece of the plate and they could have this like moral dilemma, which ends in the, I understand the point of it now, but it still felt a bit sudden that he just suddenly collapses. And it also made me wonder, how in the world is Walter going to survive for, what is it, 5 more seasons? I don't know how long the show is, but how is he going to last for several more seasons if he's already weak enough that he's passing out randomly? I don't understand how that's going to happen. I think in episode 4 they mentioned that they could give him some kind of treatment, but I don't know how much that's going to help. I guess it could be kind of a way for, in future seasons, because at this point in season 1, they didn't know how long the show was going to run, so I think that's a way for, if the show gets renewed for more and more seasons, they can kind of say, oh, well, he's getting treatment, so he's living longer, and they can kind of extend the show as far as they need to, in case of that. Whereas if it was completely terminal, he's going to die very soon, then all of a sudden the show is a huge success and it gets greenlit for a bunch more seasons. How is that going to work? Because he still has to die soon. It's incurable. And so I think this is kind of them giving themselves a little way out of that situation if it comes, in case they want Walter to live for a bit longer than maybe they originally stated. I also, when Walter was trying to decide whether to kill the man in the basement, and he just had this great moral dilemma over it. He spent like probably over a whole episode just trying to come to terms with what he has to do and whether he has the strength to do it. And then that's only strengthened by the fact that he tries to convince Walter to let him go. It was really well done, and while it took a long time, it was really slowly paced. It was so fascinating because, especially, like, there's, all the time in media and stuff like this, like, if there's a hostage situation, they always want to be let go, right? They always try and negotiate. It never usually goes very far because that's not interesting. In this show, it does go really far, and you can tell Walter is about to let him go. He is, like, right there because he's actually a good person, and he's really trying to find any way out of the situation he's in other than to kill this guy. And that makes it all the more painful when you realize that Domingo was going to kill him the entire time once he got his hands on that weapon. And I think, if I remember correctly, once he got his hands on that shard of plate, I think that was the moment where he started trying to ask Walter to let him go. I think before that he just had accepted that he was going to die. But after he got the shard of plate, I think that's when he started to try and negotiate. And it was done really well and really realistically. And just that we got to spend so much time seeing Walter just try and figure out what the right thing to do is here. I mean, he knows the right thing to do, but whether that'll be good for him and his family or not, is what he really has to struggle with, and I thought that was so well done. It's also insane that, considering in episode 1, these guys were, like, shooting at each other and gassing each other, that now they had, like, this heart-to-heart, and of course it was kind of fake, and it was kind of, there was this facade there, and Domingo was kind of trying to trick him, but the fact that we got from that point A of they're trying to kill each other actively to point B, where they're having this really heartfelt conversation, and it felt totally natural. That is really impressive. I've seen a lot of people saying that season 1 isn't as great as the rest of the show, but I am really liking it so far. Just all of it, really. Like, I have very few complaints. I think the humor at times, it's not quite clear whether something is meant to be played for a joke. I think usually it is. It's kind of like a dark humor type thing, but it's sometimes a little hard to tell. That's like the biggest complaint I could have. There's nothing else. Now, at the end of episode 3, when Skylar is told about Walter's cancer, it isn't made entirely clear until the next episode that that's what he tells her. I think it was supposed to sort of be this fake out thing where you are supposed to wonder, oh, is he actually telling her about the whole drug production thing? I never really thought that was going to be the case. I feel like it's way too soon for something like that. We're only like halfway through the first season. There was no way they were going to do that. I feel like him trying to hide everything from her is something that's going to last for several more seasons. But at the same time, I think also narratively it serves a really great purpose where, because he tells her that he has this cancer, anything that he did that was suspicious in the past few episodes, it takes the heat of that off completely. Now, if she looks back at any of that, anything that she was suspicious about, she will immediately now write it off as, oh, well, he has cancer, no wonder he was acting funny. And now, she's so distraught over that, she's not going to be investigating him as thoroughly. She's not going to distrust him as thoroughly. And I think that's really great for the narrative because it sort of resets the situation. I hope that makes sense, what I'm trying to sort of articulate there. Moving on to episode 4, I was not in the slightest expecting to see Jesse's backstory, like at all. Like that wasn't even something I thought about seeing in the entire show. I figured he was just going to be sort of a partner for Walter, and while he would get characterization, that we wouldn't so extensively see where he came from. And especially, I was also weirdly surprised that he came from such a well-off family. I know that that's not totally crazy. Like, people who come from good situations can end up in bad situations, and people who start in bad situations can work really hard and end up in good situations, and that happens. But still, I found it really surprising that he went from what's clearly a very like normal and well-off family to being a drug dealer, and I was not expecting that. I don't know, for some reason that kind of surprised me, and his younger brother and how different they are, but also how similar. I think it was really clever how his brother was actually the one who was smoking, and Jesse disapproves of that, and he kind of stamps the thing out, because, and this is never stated, but I think that the reason for that is he doesn't want his brother to turn out the same way that he has, and I think that that's a really interesting detail. He isn't trying to get himself out of the situation he's in. I think he thinks he's too far gone, and this is the life he has now, but he doesn't want that for his brother, and he sees the potential his brother has, and he wants that to be realized. I think that's just a really nice touch, and whereas for the most part until now we've been focusing on Walter, now we're starting to care for Jesse a bit more, and that's good. It's been done really well. And towards the end of episode 4, it looks like once again we're kind of trying to show Walter that he is at a point where he has nothing to lose, and once again he's kind of grappling with the idea of, well, I need money, I need it for my family. Now that's been stated. I mentioned in past episodes that it never really said why he wants this money so much, that it was for his family. Now we've said that. In episode 4, it's clearly said that he wants this money for his family. They need it after he's gone. And so he's coming to realize that he might have to do some shady dealings again to help them out after he's gone, because he feels pretty hopeless. And he is trying to convince himself that he doesn't need to do this to help them. But, obviously we know that in the end, he's going to end up going right back to where he was, making the purest meth in the land. But the constant moral dilemmas that he's going through are fascinating. I think that's all I have to talk about for today. I'm going to be watching episodes 5 and 6 for next time, in case you're following along. And we'll see what I have to say about those. We're getting close to the finale of Season 1. I don't know how it's going to end, really. I haven't even tried to predict that. I have no idea how they're going to end any of these seasons, certainly not the first one here. So I'm curious how they're going to kind of wrap things up, how they're going to kind of set up the next season. I'm not really sure, but I'm excited to see. So that's about it. Thank you for watching.